It's Addicted Cafe podcast with Nicole
and Destry.
Oh my goodness. For addicts, by addicts, all about addicts and addicts families. It's such an honor to be here today. Destry and I have been we've been cooking up something a little fresh for you. It's definitely going to not be for children. It's definitely going to be entertaining, considering that we're talking about topics that are actually very painful. I believe that one of the biggest things that created Addicted Cafe for us was just the loss of so many people that we know. And also, friends of ours that work in recovery, different places, and you hear just how many people are losing their lives and also just suffering. Forget about just dying. I mean, there's so much suffering with addiction. And so we've created this so that we can get you guys a lot of really Gucci information, controversial topics, different ideology, different ways of thinking, just so that we can expand our consciousness and have deeper understanding that everyone is different, everyone's lives are different, everyone uses for different reasons. And so it's just very important that we break open all of this, having beautiful guests on the show. And yeah, definitely. And we wanted to hop on today so that we can introduce ourselves, who we are, share a little bit about our story, and who the heck knows what else is going to happen. Destry, you want to take us into your life, man? What's up?
Yes. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here that we have actually finally got to create something like this, because part of my mission in this world is to really bring addiction to the forefront of this crazy reality that we live in, especially during this time. Addiction has been left behind. So many people are dying, like you said, ODing. And I mean, I'm just going to say it. The rehabs are shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's really helping these people. And I suffered from addiction for so long, even became a heroin addict. I just went to the extremes and there was no stopping me until I realized that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had to get to a certain space, and being able to bring what I've done in my space and what I've understood in life to people out there is really important to me. And having people really understand what addiction is about and how many different options are out there and how our society and the way they deal with it might be fucking us up.
Thank you. And can you share a little bit about your business so people know where to find you, who you with?
Yes. I recently started this business called Nights of Light. And my mission with that business is to expand consciousness, especially for addicts, especially when addicts get stagnant in their recovery. Because my belief, and it might not be everybody's belief, but recovery, NA saved my life, but recovery and the 12 steps only go so far. And my mission in life is to figure out what you do next and what happens with that by digging further into your spirituality, further into your soul, to really start to express yourself and disconnect yourself from that actual addict mentality.
Man, I really love that. I love that. I remember when I was in the rooms and, oh my God, I think the rooms, because I went to a lot of rooms, y'all. I had a lot of issues, eating disorder, addiction to everything. I was like, it's not just drugs and alcohol. I was addicted. You put anything in front of me, I was like, oh, I'm addicted to that chair. That's a really nice chair. I'm obsessing about that chair. Everything about my life, I'm just going to look at this chair, so I don't got to deal with my life. And
right.
It's beautiful that we get these principles that we live by, and then it's our job to take that information and reach a little bit higher, reach a little bit deeper within ourselves to see what it is that makes us tick, and to find purpose. I really feel as having addiction in my life for using on and off for 20 years and being just a garbage head, I was just let me escape. Give me anything possible to escape my reality. And I always thought I was this chemist, because I was if I just take a little bit of heroin and some crack cocaine, they both kind of they'll mellow each other out, get really, really high, and then I'll drop myself down low, until you die a couple times. But you continue anyways. The first time I used, I was 3. I drank the punch, man. It was a strong punch. It was at a party, and it was interesting, when I think about that little 3-year-old that drank out of everyone's glass and didn't stop. And I'm sure I felt that buzz mighty quick. and continued until I was intoxicated, like really messed up. You know, I think about I've experienced so much trauma in my life. I've seen so many traumatic things and experienced those things in my life that early on in my life, I was trying to fix it. I was trying to find an answer. I was trying to escape. I was trying to numb. I was trying to hide. My reality was nothing that a kid should see. And as my life progressed, I constantly was looking for something outside myself to fix the trauma that I was experiencing, the fear that I had within me. And I was first addicted to perfectionism. Perfectionism was yummy, man. If I'm perfect enough, you're going to love me. People going to look at me. You're going to know who I am. And then it was like from that to women. Hi. It was girls. It was like flirting. We got some oxytocin. We got some hormones and drugs going on in the brain already. I was like already starting the chemistry. And then it went to sex. And then it was like, oh, let me be a cheater because there's something really dirty about that. And then it was alcohol. And then it was drugs. And then it was whatever. Because after that, even getting clean, I love this part. Even after getting clean, it's like, I can put anything in my face and obsess about it and escape. And it's dangerous for someone like me to stay there very long. My biggest thing is I have a lot of trauma to my body, sexual abuse, you know, physical things that I abused myself, where it was really hard to be in my body. And my whole life I've been trying to not feel. And now my whole thing is like, how can I embrace myself even more and be in my body and do things that I love and connect deeply with a higher power, whatever that is for you guys. But for me, it's God. And then purpose. I am the co-owner of Twin Flame Revolution. I'm a consciousness mentor. I'm a coach. And I always say I'm a badass human because I'm also human. And, you know, I help thousands of people in their relationships, not necessarily around addiction. There's all kinds of sorts of things that I do. I do have some people that come in and they're addicts. And I think that, listen, y'all, everybody addicted to something.
Right.
Everybody's got
yes,
addiction.
yes.
And what's really cool about this is that we can talk about all those things and umbrella it. And that, yes, okay, heroin addict and, you know, painting your nails addict, a little different, but, you know, there's a spectrum.
Well, it really is. There is a spectrum. I mean, when you were talking about how young you were, I remember being that fourth grader with my older sister living in the middle of nowhere, upstate New York. You know, all there was to do with party. And I came back to my fourth grade class bragging about how I got drunk with all these older kids, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. I mean, I look at that now of that experience of like, why did everybody look at me like I was nuts? Because to me, it was normal the way I grew up. You know, my dad and my mom and everybody I knew drank or did drugs to associate with life. And I learned early on, that's how you have fun. And that's what life's about. Like, that's just how funny how that young brain associated life with drinking and doing drugs. And like you said, it expanded into so many things: relationships, love addict, chaos addict. I loved chaos. I loved being in the middle of chaos. I loved everything about chaos. I just wanted to be chaotic. My life had to be chaotic. I even chose chaotic jobs like the Marine Corps, the railroad, where there's no schedule. I mean, everything about my life, I understood in chaos, and to drag myself out of that was even hard. And now I'm trying to quit nicotine, and seeing the obsession come back is like, what the fuck, you know? Like, shit's, it's.
I'm actually quitting coffee right now. We're both like,
started this new podcast and we're both like, I'm gonna rip your head off. You know, like right in the middle.
So much energy as it is. No one needs a stimulant.
Right.
Take those stimulants from Destry and Nicole.
But it's funny, like when we think about stimulus, we know our body can do it on its own, but something about our brain says, I need coffee, I need the energy drink, I need it all to feel better. Like in Mother Russia, energy drink you, you know, like it's crazy how it just rules our life and we become part of it. And we give so much of our own energy to something that doesn't even serve us in the way we're supposed to be served.
Oh my God, absolutely. And just hearing you say that, I think it's really important to start out our first one with this, you know, talking about this topic. And we're going to go hard on this topic. And I'm going to have people that know a lot about neurochemistry and the brain and the way the brain gets wired. And so it's interesting when you have a lot of trauma as a child, you do not produce serotonin, dopamine. It kind of alters the chemistry just from the abuse. Now, let's say that never happened and you didn't have any of that and you just start using drugs. You can also alter the chemistry of your brain by putting chemicals from outside of yourself into your brain, where you start to stop to produce these feel-good hormones that are necessary to calm your nerves, to help you sleep, to make you excited and inspired. And so what begins to happen is the more that we're chomping on these drugs, and I just saw me like chewing pills. I used to chew pills. You know, it was like your wiring of your brain is, first of all, getting screwed up from the chemistry, but also the wiring of the brain from every time there's something that happens, then you use, right? I am stressed, I use. I am triggered by this abandonment that this woman just left my life. You know, if the sun came out, I use. What happens is we don't know, once we stop using, when those triggers come, we don't know how to not use. And so people are like, I don't understand why I keep relapsing. I don't understand why I keep putting my hand in that fire. I don't understand, because your brain is wired that way. And it's very important to understand that there needs to be the unwiring where the trigger hits, and then we start to do different things. And with that takes abstinence. And with that takes a lot of support, a lot of different treatments, you know, and we're going to talk about different treatments. I know I want to talk about later on in the podcast, I want to talk about the different things that I have done to help myself. Yeah.
And when you talk about being wired, it just reminded me of like my new theory that I'm coming out with, that we will elaborate on more in more podcasts, especially with like neurological people that understand that, and therapists, about how, wonder if we started looking at as addiction as a memory. We're wired so deep into our soul that when we're wondering why we get triggered, it's almost like there's a memory inside us that we're used to that started it. But how do we disconnect from that memory? And we consistently just keep attaching to that memory, and it drives us into a place to use. It's like a muscle memory. Like all of a sudden your body is just like, oh, you got to use in that situation. That's all you can do. That's all you know how to do anymore. And I mean, because in my theory, in my thinking, we all learned to be addicts at some point from watching other people. And I mean, even watching TV teaches us how to be addicts. The whole society and the way it's built teaches us how to be addicts. Now, it's all up to you on how you react to it. You can either become the addict, like some people do when they're born with addicts, or the other person resents addicts so much that they just step away from the whole situation. It's interesting. And I can't wait till we tap into that more to see what makes people even make those choices.
Yeah, I love what you said about muscle memory, like that wiring, the way it kind of fires in the brain. It is a muscle memory. It's kind of like, this happens, I do this, you know, and I love that. And I love what you were talking about. Like, even when I think about genetics, you know, we carry anywhere from 7 to 14 generations of trauma of our ancestors. And so if you have, you know, drug addiction or a lot of trauma in the ancestry, you can potentially in your own life, even if you hadn't completely witnessed any of it, you're having it in your cells. And I love that we're going to get to talk about more spiritual, energetic based things on how we're carrying sometimes curses of generations, different things that our families are carrying. And what's really cool about this is I've learned in my own experience is that I came here, listen, my past was grimy. It was nasty. I almost died like 13 times, overdose. I put myself in places I should have never been, almost got killed. And it's like, I went through that to get here so that I could serve the collective in such a beautiful way. And I'm housing, and I'm not just doing it for myself and other people, but literally able to change my ancestry energetically by standing up and being like, we're not going any further from here. Like, this is where it stops. This is where we change. This is where something new happens in this line. And it gonna get yummy in here.
And there's just so much to talk about and so much information to get to other addicts who are suffering, and they don't even know where to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so much out there that we have experienced, that we've seen, that we're even doing with our businesses now to help people, but no one knows where to look, and they're just thrown into the rooms, and we can't say that always works.
Yeah.
There's not just one option because everybody's different. Everybody's soul operates different. You know, the energy and everything that's got to be moved around. We all learn differently too.
Oh my God, definitely. You know, it's interesting. I could count so many people that, you know, went to the rooms and got served in a beautiful way. And then it just wasn't enough anymore for them. Like there's so many people I know. And if you kind of identify with that, like I'm talking to you, you know, and sometimes many of you are very sensitive. And this is like a thing, sensitive, empathic souls that feel everything. You're feeling yourself. You're feeling other people's emotions. You put yourself in a big room like that. It's not easy. It affects you in different ways. And so I love what Destry said, that this isn't one size fits all. You know, there's certain mental illness that comes with people's addiction that they need to go take care of themselves in that way. There's different therapies that need to happen for people that have been sexually abused while that's happening. There's also other ways to treat this. And everyone is different. There's like addict, where like abstinence is the only way. It doesn't matter how much you heal, you pick that up, you're going to go on a ride where you lose control. There's some people that are just like excessive users that, you know, put stuff down and they can have a couple drinks. And then the addicts looking at them and being like, they can do it. And why can't I do it? It was because your brain is wired. It wired different. Right. It went far. And I believe that we incarnate not just a lifetime in addiction. I feel like there is a moment in our evolution as a soul where we incarnate in addiction, because it is one of the hardest things to break free of. And you incarnate life after lifetime of addiction, you get real confused. Really, your wires are crossed. Your wires are jacked up. You don't even know how you got there. You don't know. Toto don't know how to get home. Like, you don't know how to do that. And it's nothing to feel bad about. But then there's a level of acceptance and honoring that you might be just in that area different, and you don't get to play Russian roulette with your life and pick up, you know. And I don't judge those that are, you know, using different methods. I'm not here to judge anyone on how they get their life. And here's the most important part. How can you get yourself to a life that you are thriving, that you love, and you are growing, and that you feel that you are in it and you are being you and you're all about you? You're loving on you. How can you be in that most aligned state? How can you get what you need in that state? Because that's important. Because recovery is not about, I just stay off everything and I'm fucking miserable and dry. It's about, yeah, I get off of it and I figure out a new way of life so that I can enjoy this. And service is a very important part of that as well. And that's why we're here.
Yes. This is all about service for us. And that's why I even started my business. It's all about serving the addict. And especially, like Nicole said, that addict that has gotten stagnant in their recovery and don't know where else to go, because there's so much more to it. And like I've heard over time and time again, the healing never stops. So when you finally tap into your soul's energy, you want to talk about the healing never stopping. I mean, when they say in the rooms about that spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, I mean, I'll even, you know, I've been there, but the spiritual awakening you get when you go further and deeper into this is extreme. I mean, spiritual awakenings aren't nice and pleasant like some people would like you to think. I mean, and me and Nicole are like here to guide people through that. And that's what we love to do, because it is painful. It sucks. It's all about the breakdown. And, you know, Nicole does music. I love her song Breakdown Before the Breakthrough. You know, if you guys haven't checked out Nicole's music, you definitely should.
We gonna hook you up. And that song hasn't dropped yet. I'm gonna let you know when it drops, because it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be nuts. But us being able to be here with this podcast and show people that all addicts are loved, no matter what you do, how you do it, because I've experienced in the rooms in different places, if you don't follow their suggestions or their rules, or if you tip away for a little bit, they start to judge you. This is a no judgment zone. The only thing we're going to judge is how society tries to put addicts in a bad place, because we're here to heal the addiction. We're here to heal the addict. We're here to bring new light to them and show them different ways to help them get clean. I mean, we'll bring on therapists, doctors, neurologists, to come in here to speak about how, and this is going to be a fun part, to speak how our medical program is actually hurting the addict because
Absolutely,
they
man.
actually have no idea what's going on.
Absolutely.
No idea.
Absolutely. It doesn't work. I sat with someone who was just like, it's the money that's being made on addicts' backs and lives in programs that don't actually work. It's quite disheartening. I mean, I know it has to be a business. I get that, people have to get paid for the work that they do. But the percentage of people that get off of, even intravenous drugs is so low, and it's really sad. And I definitely do think that there needs to be a change in that. For me, with my music, even, I call it conscious music, because I want it to be truthful, and I want it to be uplifting, and I want it to shift people's lives and experience, to bringing them back to life. And when you look at the music industry, the songs are about death culture. It's like party till you're dead. And most of these young rappers are dead. They're either shot or OD'd. And it's some really, really talented artists recently are dead. And, our culture just feeds this beast, this idea of just being really present with yourself. And our brains are so magical. Like, I remember I went into a rehab once, and this dude used to tell me, he's like, your brain is your greatest drug dealer. And I didn't understand, I didn't understand what he was saying until my brain started to heal, and I started to feel better. And I started to feel all these things, and listen, we don't talk about Wim Hof, because we know Destry gonna take us into breathing exercises.
Yes.
But we do breath work. You are lit up, where your body is producing, your pineal glands popping off, you're producing dopamine, you're producing serotonin, you're producing this state that's it's everlasting. It's not the kind of thing you're gonna be hungover tomorrow, you're gonna need to go get another bag of. I mean, unless you really want it, you just keep breathing. But it's
you just got to breathe again.
Yeah, you just got to do some breathing exercises, which oxygenates your brain, which oxygenates your body, which is life, which heals your body, which is good for you. Oh,
it's crazy. I love that you mentioned that, because that's what we're all about, is figuring out, because your body is totally capable of giving you everything these other things do. Our body heals itself. But in today's society, we forgot how to do that, because it's all about the pill. It's all about this to heal yourself. And people look down on that homeopathic way. But I mean, I showed somebody the other day that put peppermint oil on their temples and the back of their neck to get rid of a headache. They thought it was magic. They thought I was a wizard.
What is this wizardry?
How come I never knew this? What is going on? They're like, I'm not going to buy ibuprofen ever again. And I'm like, it's just weird. And then I show people the breathing, right? And how great you feel. And then I had this really funny conversation. It was actually with my mom. And she was like, when should I do the breathing? I'm like, all the time. You need to breathe.
Yes.
Like, what kind of question is that? Just breathe. And I mean, and it brings us to another thing. I'm not going to ramble off on a tangent here, but a lot of us don't even know how to breathe properly.
Yep.
So, I mean, it teaches you so many things, and it clears all those toxins that we put into our body. And a lot of these toxins keep us in that addiction mindset too. I mean, because sugar, I mean, they have proven that sugar is one of the most addictive substances out there, and it's in all our food. I mean, if you try to get off sugar for 3 days, if you see how you feel, you'll literally detox.
Oh yeah.
Try it for a week. I dare you. If you eat a lot of sugar, you are going to feel like you were going through hell for a minute. You're going to obsess over sweets. Now that's what it's like to be in the mind of an addict. Like, if you're not an addict and you're listening to this for a family member and you eat sweets, try not to eat them. You will obsess over it. I guarantee you. Or coffee. Try not to drink caffeine for a few days. You will get headaches. You will detox from that, and you will obsess over that cup of coffee or energy drink or whatever you drank. If you're wondering what it's like to be inside the mind of an addict for a couple of days, trying to get clean. I mean, that's just a little test if you are the family member trying to help somebody out.
And I love that you brought up the family member, because I think we're gonna end here, but this is also really important. The family member, the spouse, the daughter, the mother gets sick with the addict. I'm gonna say that again. The family member gets sick with the addict. The trauma that you experience as a family member of an addict is so traumatic that it creates so much like codependency, sickness. I don't even want to label it, but there are attributes, and we really want to give voice to that. So I know my darling wife, who spent so many years with the using addicts, and the things that she has learned and what she has gone through and what works and what doesn't work, and all of those things we will bring to you, I promise, because it's very important. You're a huge part of the addict's recovery. If you care about your addicted son or whoever that is to you, it's very important that you get your own healing process going on. You go into your own recovery phase, and also having so much information that you can house within yourself to be the best support if you choose to be the support. And sometimes the family member want to be a little too supportive, you want to do a little too much, and the addict's like, yo, step back, and it doesn't work like that. So there, there's boundaries. And also, I do want to say, it's such a heavy thing that there's no right or wrong way to be supportive of an addict. Sometimes cutting people off helps. Sometimes cutting them off doesn't work at all. Sometimes loving the shit out of someone, they still don't live. Sometimes loving the shit out of someone, it helps change them to get help. There's no right and wrong in any recovery process. It's just about showing up for yourself in the best way and making sure that you yourself, so the family member, is healing those areas, so that that interaction, whether you're having that interaction, because some of you are not having the interaction with your kid or your spouse right now because of all the pain that you guys have gone through. But if you do choose to find forgiveness within yourself, being able to hold those boundaries and still be a loving support system, whether it is kind of the back off or it's, stepping in because it's necessary or they're asking you for help.
Yes, that is truly beautiful. We are literally here for everybody that has experienced addiction in their life, regardless if they're the addict or not, because we love you all. We're here for everybody.
Yep. And I just want to say this. I was a chronic relapser, right? There's not a diagnosis of mental illness, but there were symptomatic things that have happened in my life from my trauma that made it very hard. And I am constantly having to work on myself, right? So for the person that's just like, why didn't I just get it the first time, or what the hell, you just keep getting up. You find new ways. Every time you fall and get up, you change, you grow. Everything that you did during the time and all the growth process before the relapse doesn't go anywhere. You get back up. And the one thing that I can say that will kill the addict, and it is the hardest thing, to release, let go of, and change your life, is shame. Shame is one, I always say, don't go in a shame hole. I think I'm going to write a song called The Shame Hole. I was an asshole going in a shame hole. A shame hole, like shame devours us, right? There has to be a level. I mean, when we are under the influence of drugs and alcohol, or even if we're not on drugs, alcohol, we're gambling, we're doing lying, cheating, whatever, stealing, there's room there for guilt. And shame, though, takes us and keeps us from getting up. It doesn't allow for us to move forward. And if we stay in that energy, we cannot change. We cannot. There's a potency, frequency to shame that's so grotesque that if we do not allow ourselves a moment to get out of it, there is no recovery. And that's why, honestly, the 12 steps were amazing, going through the steps, being able to start to look at your part, being able to make amends, being able to see the things that may be a little flawed at, being able to take an inventory of yourself, but also forgiving yourself and letting other people's forgive you as well. Letting other people forgive you as well.
Yes. So many great things were said here today, and we have so many topics that we're going to go over, and we can't wait to do it. Both of us chronic relapsers. I went to rehab 3 or 4 times before I actually got clean. Like she said, a lot of that time I went back into rehab, I went with shame. The last time, it worked for me. I'm not going to say it worked for everybody, but the last time I went into rehab, I was just angry as hell. it was just pure anger that drove me through to be clean. Anger at myself, anger at everybody else, angry at my drug dealer, angry at my life. I was just angry, and I became fed up with whatever was going on. And I just had to change something. And everybody says anger is not the real issue or whatever was going on. It's a secondary emotion. But I used it as a primary one to get myself clean. I mean, like anything that gets you clean, use it.
Right? Mama got a new bag and new mag got my clean. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Actually, I love that you said that. It's very important that you have a ton of reasons why you are getting clean. The more motherfucking whys, the more whys that you can grab onto of why you are staying clean. Like if you want to create something beautiful in your life, if you want to take care of your children, if you want to build like new relationships with, you know, people that have fell out of your life, those whys are really important because it gives you substance, it gives you purpose, it gives you life. There's like those, they're lifelines, you know, and that's the thing about an addict. We love to isolate. So if we're not having the connection, and that's one of the biggest parts of recovery as well, is connection. Is you connecting. You're not doing this alone. We do not do this alone. We do this together. I just thumbed the mic. Do you hear? It was like boop. I thumbed my mic. Sorry about that. If you got your headphones on, you're listening. It's like boop. Oh man. All right. We good.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. It was a great thing. I love it.
Totally.
I love you all.
To the, oh, I love it. Like made out with your microphone. To the addict, we love you. You are so loved. You're honored. The stigma around addiction is going to die here. It dies in here, right? We see you. We understand you're a good person. You're not a bad person for what this experience has been for you. And you're highly, highly like just embraced in this space. And so we're sending big love to all of you, and we will see you very soon.
Yes. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.